A guy in Utah figured out how to turn pulling Jeeps out of sand into a multi-million-dollar empire. Matt from Matt's Off-Road Recovery went from 0 to nearly 2 million subscribers in just a few years, raking in over $700,000 annually from ad revenue alone. But in 2021, everything came crashing down when felony charges hit him like a freight train. Insurance fraud, $15,000 in fake claims, evidence pulled straight from his own YouTube videos. The case that followed exposed a side hustle so sketchy it could have landed him behind bars for 15 years. This is what really went down. Matt Wetzel wasn't some random guy with a camera and a dream. He owned Winder Towing in Hurricane, Utah, right near Zion National Park, where tourists and off-roaders constantly got themselves stuck in impossible situations. March 2019, he launched Matt's Off-Road Recovery with a simple concept that nobody else had monetized properly: film the recoveries, show the process, make it entertaining. His signature yellow Jeep XJ became instantly recognizable, and the content hit different. No clickbait thumbnails with shocked faces, no overdramatic commentary, just real recoveries with real people in real trouble. The channel exploded faster than anyone expected. Within a couple years, Matt had built something massive. By 2025, he was sitting at nearly 2 million subscribers, pulling consistent six-figure view counts per video. The money followed. Conservative estimates put his monthly ad revenue at over $47,000. That's more than $500,000 annually just from YouTube ads, not counting sponsorships, merchandise, or his actual towing business. Some months he was clearing $300,000 when you factored everything in, but here's what made it work: authenticity. Matt wasn't pretending to be some off-road hero. He was a tow truck operator doing his job, and viewers connected with that realness. The community he built around helping stranded off-roaders felt genuine. People trusted him, and that trust would make what came next even more shocking. December 2021. The Utah Insurance Fraud Division dropped a hammer nobody saw coming. Matt Wetzel was hit with a second-degree felony charge for insurance fraud, not some minor billing mistake. Full-blown fraud allegations totaling over $15,000 in fake SCOA claims filed between 2019 and 2020. The timing couldn't have been worse. His channel was peaking, money was rolling in, and suddenly he was facing serious prison time. The charges outlined 3 specific cases that painted a damning picture: construction materials disguised as vehicle tows, delayed billing schemes designed to bypass Windows verification process, off-road vehicle recoveries billed as standard roadside assistance when AODA explicitly doesn't cover off-road situations. The most brutal part? One of the fraudulent recoveries had been filmed and posted to his YouTube channel. The prosecution literally had video evidence uploaded by Matt himself showing the exact recovery that he'd billed fraudulently to AODA. A second-degree felony in Utah carries up to 15 years in prison and $10,000 in fines. For a YouTube creator pulling in $700,000 a year, those charges represented an existential threat, not just to his freedom, but to his entire business empire. Convicted felons don't typically maintain thriving YouTube channels and legitimate towing operations. The fanbase that had built him up was about to learn their trusted off-road recovery guy had allegedly been running insurance scams while filming wholesome content about helping people. The details that emerged made it even worse. The scheme was simpler than you'd think, but brazen as hell. Matt would perform a recovery or service, then instruct customers to file factual claims afterward, sometimes days or weeks later. The delay was intentional. It gave him time to manipulate the paperwork and make non-covered services look legitimate. One case involved an off-road Polaris RZR recovery. AA doesn't cover off-road vehicles, period. That's explicitly stated in their policy. Matt knew this. His solution? Bill it as his friend's truck tow instead. Different vehicle, different story, same fraudulent claim. Another case was even more blatant. Matt charged $2,800 for towing 3 vehicles that turned out to be construction materials. Not cars, not trucks, materials. He literally billed a tow for moving building supplies and called them vehicle tows. The paperwork made it look legitimate enough to pass initial review, and the checks cleared. Then there were the customers who weren't even T10AA members. Matt would tell them to join 8AA, wait several days, then file claims for services already performed. That's called retroactive fraud, and insurance companies have entire departments dedicated to catching exactly that. When investigators confronted him, Matt's defense was memorable. Wrong on the front end, but fair on the back. Translation: the billing was fraudulent, but the work was real and fairly priced. That argument might work at a backyard barbecue, but it doesn't hold up in court when you're facing felony charges. The evidence was overwhelming, and Matt's own YouTube channel had documented part of the fraud. February 2022. Matt stood in court facing a choice: fight the charges and risk 15 years in prison, or take a deal. He took the deal, pleaded no contest to a reduced Class A misdemeanor. The felony disappeared, but the consequences didn't. 18 months probation, full restitution of $15,328 paid back to 8AA. Another $1,745 in fines to the Utah Insurance Fraud Division. Court costs on top of that. Plus attorney fees that likely ran into 5 figures. His attorney worked overtime spinning the narrative, called them technical violations rather than actual fraud, emphasized Matt's role serving the community, and argued that 8AA should appreciate the spirit of service even if the paperwork was wrong. The Utah Attorney General's office wasn't buying the spin, but they were satisfied with the outcome. Full restitution paid, conviction on record, probation to ensure compliance. Justice served without clogging the prison system with a non-violent offender. For Matt, the plea deal was damage control. A misdemeanor conviction doesn't carry the same stigma as a felony. He could keep his business licenses, maintain his YouTube channel, and avoid prison time that would have destroyed everything he'd built. The financial hit was significant but manageable. 17 grand in fines and restitution when you're pulling in 70 grand monthly from ads alone is survivable. The real question was whether his audience would forgive him, and whether YouTube would let him continue monetizing content after pleading guilty to fraud. Here's where things got interesting. Matt never stopped posting videos throughout the entire scandal. While he was dealing with felony charges, facing prosecutors, and negotiating plea deals, his upload schedule continued like nothing happened. He didn't address the charges directly, didn't make a tearful apology video, didn't even acknowledge the legal drama beyond maybe a vague community post. He just kept pulling vehicles out of sand and posting content. The fanbase split down the middle. One camp defended him hard, arguing that he was helping people in real distress and that AAA was just being corporate and greedy. They saw him as a working-class entrepreneur getting crushed by bureaucratic nonsense over technicalities. The other camp felt betrayed. They'd trusted Matt, recommended his channel, bought his merchandise, and supported his business, only to learn he'd been running insurance scams while presenting himself as an honest operator helping the off-road community. Comment sections became battlegrounds. Videos posted during the legal proceedings had fans arguing about whether billing fraud really counted as crime when the actual services were legitimate. Some pointed out that $17,000 in fraudulent claims was pocket change compared to his YouTube earnings, which somehow made it worse. Why risk everything over such a relatively small amount? Others noted that insurance fraud drives up costs for everyone, making Matt's actions directly harmful to the community he claimed to serve. Through it all, the view counts stayed strong. Controversy, it turns out, doesn't hurt retention. Probation ended, the restitution was paid, and Matt's channel didn't just survive, it thrived. By November 2025, he was sitting at 1.95 million subscribers and climbing. The algorithm never punished him. YouTube never demonetized the channel. The scandal became a footnote, while the content kept delivering exactly what viewers wanted: satisfying recovery videos with high production value and authentic personality. But Matt didn't just maintain his channel. He expanded aggressively, launched Matt's Off-Road Games, a massive annual off-road competition event that drew competitors and spectators from across the country. Built a dedicated app with membership features, exclusive content, and behind-the-scenes access that superfans happily paid for. Developed a merchandise empire that went beyond basic t-shirts and hats. Conservative estimates put his total monthly earnings back in the $300,000 range when factoring ads, sponsorships, merchandise, events, and app subscriptions. The recovery techniques showcased in his videos spawned an entire community of imitators, some good, some disastrous. Inexperienced off-roaders attempted complex recoveries they'd seen on Matt's channel without proper equipment or knowledge, leading to damaged vehicles and dangerous situations. His influence on the off-road recovery community extended far beyond entertainment. He'd essentially created a blueprint that dozens of other channels tried replicating with varying degrees of success. The probation period that could have destroyed his career instead became proof of resilience, a narrative that actually strengthened his brand among fans who valued the comeback story. From second-degree felony charges to nearly 2 million YouTube subscribers, from facing 15 years in prison to running a multi-platform entertainment and events empire. Matt's story is either a redemption arc or a masterclass in how easy it is to bounce back when you've got an audience that doesn't care about the details. $17,000 in fines and restitution against an annual income exceeding $700,000 from YouTube alone. The math tells you everything about how this story ends. Was justice actually served, or did good lawyers and smart plea negotiations simply protect a thriving business? The Utah Attorney General seemed satisfied. AOA got their money back with interest. Matt served probation without incident and came out the other side with his channel intact and growing. Nobody went to prison. Nobody lost their business. The fraudulent claims got labeled as technical violations in press releases, and the internet moved on to the next controversy within weeks. But here's the thing that sticks. Matt built his brand on authenticity and trust, helping stranded off-roaders, being the reliable guy who shows up when you're stuck. The fraud charges revealed someone willing to game the system and manipulate insurance policies for extra cash he clearly didn't need. Yet his audience forgave quickly because the content stayed entertaining and the recoveries stayed satisfying to watch. Maybe that's the real lesson. In the YouTube economy, entertainment value trumps everything else. Even felony fraud charges become just another plot point in the larger story, as long as the videos keep delivering.